Tomorrow is your first day at a new job. You're nervous but excited, so by the time you're done picking your outfit out and making your lunch, you realize that you will probably be going into work with less than 5 hours of sleep. But that's no issue. You'll just swing by Starbucks on your way to work, drink a Red Bull during lunch, and turn in early after. You lay down to go to sleep, but it doesn't come. You are too antsy about your new job, and you keep thinking about the next day. If you will like your boss, what if someone cute sits next to you? What will it be like compared to the last place that you worked? Eventually, you fall asleep, not realizing you have about 1 hour before it's time to get up and go to work. Because you're so exhausted, you sleep through the first 2 alarms, and when you finally wake up, the alarm you set to tell you it's time to head out the door is going off. Dread hits you, and you're going to be late. You begin to panic. You said time management and reliability were your 2 best attributes in the interview, and now they're going to think you were lying. By the time you walk through the door, you're going to be fired, but you really need this job. You have a cat that relies on you. You rush through your routine, getting yourself ready in a hurry while trying to think of a perfect excuse. You can't say that a relative died on the first day. You can't say that your building caught on fire or anything that would end up in the news. Still panicking, you remember that 2 days ago, you got into a small car accident and have a dent on your bumper to prove it. You still have the pictures and everything. Feeling the first rush of relief since you woke up, you quickly craft a text to your boss, sending them pictures of your car and the accident and relaying to them that you will be there slightly late, but you're willing to stay later. Your boss texts you back, completely understanding and telling you to take your time to get checked out at the emergency room before coming in, and recounting their own experience getting into a fender bender with you. When you eventually make it into work, they are completely empathetic and compassionate, and once again relay their own car accident experience with you, telling you how they thought they had gotten into a small accident, but the injury still bothers them to this day. They surprise you with a Starbucks drink and a nice lunch, and throughout the day, you keep up the charade that you were in an accident. This false event becomes an incredibly important bonding moment between you and your boss, and as you continue to work there, she brings it up time and time again as being one of the reasons she knew you were a good employee. Your willingness to be honest, your straightforwardness on your first day really made her confident she picked the right person. As the years go on, this first lie gets bigger and becomes more than you thought it would ever be. One morning, you came in complaining about a kink in your neck, one you got from sleeping in a strange position, and so your boss drove you to the emergency room because she wanted to make sure you weren't injured from the accident. You realize that your friendship with your boss and some of your coworkers were built on a falsehood, and that telling them that you did lie might actually hurt them. As the lie continues to get bigger and bigger, you get more and more overwhelmed by it, trying to figure out how to let it go and move on. But it keeps showing up in your life in different ways. Of course, this is a relatively benign way a lie can grow, but unfortunately, that is not true in today's case. Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today, we will be covering the case of Carlee Russell, a woman whose disappearance went viral this past month. I had been asked to cover this case repeatedly since Carlee went missing, with varying degrees of urgency, but now that the case has come to an abrupt end, I feel like I can put together an accurate assessment of what occurred in this case. To be clear, this script is being written on July 29th, 2023. Any updates that occur after will be published either on our community page or in the comment section down below. With all of that said, let us begin. On July 13th, 2023, at 8:20 p.m., Carlee Russell left her job at the Woodhouse Spa in Birmingham, Alabama, carrying a dark bathrobe meant for guests, a roll of toilet paper, and other miscellaneous items belonging to the business. According to the management at the Woodhouse Spa, these were items that she took without permission and was considered theft. She then ordered food from Taziki's at the Colonnade, reportedly picking up the order as the restaurant was closing at about 9 p.m. Shortly after picking up her food, Carlee called her mom, Talitha Russell, to tell her that the restaurant had either messed up her order or given her double, and that she could have the meal when she got home. She told her mom that she was on her way home, and she would see her shortly. However, after getting off the phone, she made an unplanned stop at a local Target where she bought granola bars, Cheez-Its, and a drink, leaving at 9:21 p.m. to make her way back home. But 13 minutes after that, Carlee would see a strange sight on the side of the road. As Carlee was driving down I-459 between mile marker 11, she reportedly spotted a toddler between the ages of 3 and 4, walking on the shoulder of a busy road. The child was completely unsupervised, and Carlee noticed that there was no one on the street stopping to help the child. With that in mind, she called 911.
Hi, I am on Okay, so you're before that exit?
Yes.
Okay, and were you headed southbound or northbound? Like towards Tuscaloosa or towards 280?
Towards Tuscaloosa.
Okay, and was the child on the left or right side?
On the right side.
Were they walking northbound or southbound?
They're walking towards Tuscaloosa.
Walking southbound? Or how old do they look?
Like a toddler, maybe 3 or 4.
Did you pull over with them? Are you still with them?
Yes.
Okay, are you with the child right now?
No, I'm not. I didn't get out of the car. I can see them though.
Do you mind staying and keeping an eye on them until we get there?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, what kind of car are you in?
I'm in a red Mercedes-Benz
Is it a sedan or SUV?
SUV. I mean, it's a sedan. Sorry.
Can you put your hazards on for me?
Yeah, they're on.
Okay. Did you talk to the child at all, or did you say anything to them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do they look like they're injured?
No, they don't.
Are they white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
They're white.
Okay. Is it male or female?
I think it's a boy, a little boy.
White male? Okay, so is he wearing clothes?
Yes.
Okay. What is he wearing?
It's a white t-shirt, and it doesn't look like he has any pants on. It looks like a diaper.
And you don't see any cars anywhere?
No, no cars anywhere.
Okay. All right. What's your name?
My name is Carlee Russell.
And you don't see any injuries on the child from where you're at, correct?
No, but I can't really see them that good.
Okay, try to keep an eye on them for the best that you can, because I don't want you to lose track of them.
Okay.
All right, and do they have shoes on?
No.
Shoes?
Not that I can see. I can't really see that one.
Okay. All right, I've got them on the way, okay? Just try to keep an eye on them. Officers are on the way, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
She called her brother's girlfriend 2 minutes later and told her about what she had stumbled upon. According to her brother's girlfriend, she told Carlee not to get out of the car, as she had seen true crime documentaries where people use children as bait for kidnappings. After talking for a couple of minutes, Carlee told her that she had to call the police for a second time and put her on hold, but when she came back to the line, she was seemingly outside of the car and trying to talk to the child. The girlfriend heard Carlee call out to the child and ask if they were all right, but she couldn't hear a response. However, only a moment or two later, she heard the boyfriend's sister scream in terror before silence. Carlee hadn't hung up the call, but it was clear that she was gone. Police responded to the 911 call as quickly as they were able, but when they arrived on the scene, they found Carlee's car with the hazard lights engaged on the side of the interstate, but with no sign of Carlee. The food she had picked up from Tzatziki's was still inside, but the robe, roll of toilet paper, and the items she had picked up from Target were no longer in the vehicle. As they continued to search the scene, they found Carlee's wig, cell phone, and purse nearby, strewn about like there had been a struggle. Carlee's family also responded to the scene, immediately fearing that something had happened to her. They went over everything that Carlee had told them prior to her disappearance, and the girlfriend was quick to tell the police what she heard when Carlee spoke to her. Notably, the police were able to find tracks near Carlee's car that made it seem like another car had been present, but the tire impressions weren't deep enough to get an impression. The Hoover police immediately jumped into action, putting out a statewide lookout bulletin for a possible abduction. Due to the strange circumstances around the case, being that there might be a person in the area using a child to help facilitate abductions, they heavily publicized the case, making sure that Carlee's disappearance was on every local news station. They pored over their records to see if there were any missing children in the area to fit the description that Carlee had given, but they found that there were none. Even still, they heavily publicized the case and mobilized quickly, wanting to get as much attention on it as possible. Carlee's family spoke to reporters, as well as helped in searches and pled for the public to help them find their daughter.
She's a godsend. Bubbly personality, loving heart, giving, just joyful in nature.
She's a fighter too. She's joyful and she's laid back, but if it's a chance for her to put up a fight to try to save her life, she's going to do everything she can to put up a fight. And I was telling my husband and I were talking. Today she was just so happy, or yesterday. She was just so happy all the way up until I talked to her at 9:19. She was just so happy. And anybody that knows our daughter knows she loves food. And the fact that she was willing to give me her meal because they left her meal off meant a lot to me. And when she got home, I was going to give her a big hug and tell her thank you because I know you love your food.
An anonymous donor put up $20,000 for any information leading to Carlee's return, and Crime Stoppers offered $5,000 on top of that. Over the span of a couple days, multiple donors would add their own money to the cash reward, bringing the total up to $60,000. As word spread about Carlee's disappearance, Angela Harris, the mother of the 19-year-old Anaya Blanchard, who had gone missing before being found dead in 2019, began to speak up about the case. She met with Carlee's parents and helped set up a volunteer command post in the parking lot of a local convenience store. She led community search parties in the area and spoke to multiple outlets, hoping to keep as many eyes on the case as possible. When it comes to missing persons cases, they live and die by the amount of public attention that they get. The more people know about the person, and the more they see their face and familiarize themselves with the case, the more likely it is the case will come to a resolution. Harris mobilized the community, and multiple people became aware of the case through her help. Online communities, specifically on Twitter and TikTok, picked up the case and made it go viral. Celebrities began posting about the disappearance, making their audience aware of what was going on. However, Saturday, July 15th, there was seemingly a break in the case. Police were dispatched to the Red Roof Inn on Montgomery Highway in Vestavia Hills after getting a report that the Russells had received a call from Carlee, stating that she was in the hotel. After getting the call that was supposedly from their missing daughter, the family went to the hotel and began knocking on doors but were unable to locate her. They spoke to the police at the inn, and the police, too, searched the hotel for any sign of the missing woman, but they came up empty-handed. But then, just 2 days after disappearing off the side of the highway, Carlee returned. At 10:45 p.m., the Russells called 911 to report that Carlee had returned home on foot. Some reports claim that Carlee was naked, barefoot, and bleeding, but as far as I can find, that claim is unsubstantiated. Hoover Police Chief Nick Derzes said Russell showed up at her parents' house alone, and paramedics immediately took her to a hospital for evaluation. Police spoke to Carlee while she was being evaluated and found that she had a small injury to her lip and claimed to be suffering from a head wound of some kind, although there was no evidence of an injury. The shirt she was wearing when she arrived at the hospital had a small tear in it as well, but most notably, the detectives found $107 in cash hidden in her left sock. When asked about the money, Carlee had no explanation as to how it got there, or how she didn't notice it had been in her sock the entire time. Because of Carlee's reported head injury, along with the fact that she had likely suffered a traumatic experience, she was held overnight for evaluation. The following day, she was released to her family at 6 a.m., where she returned home to be with the people who had spent the last 2 days working to find her. At 1:05 p.m., Talitha released a statement via Facebook, writing, "God is faithful, and He has answered our prayers. We are so grateful to each of you for all the acts of kindness, generosity, and compassion you have shown. Our baby is safe. Thank you, Father God." She went further to ask the community for respect and privacy during the coming days, as they had all gone through a horrific ordeal, and wrote, "Just as we made a commitment to not entertain negative thoughts during the time our daughter was missing, we surely will not entertain negative thoughts in statements, unvalidated opinions, or sheer ignorance at such a joyous time." The Hoover Police Chief put out a statement that day, saying, "We deal in facts. As far as I'm concerned, it's our obligation as police to put it all together. The goal now is to find out what happened in the 48 or 49 hours after she disappeared a mile from her house, and then ended up back at the house to fill in the gaps. We don't have to move quickly. Our priority was to get her home, and she's home. We'll investigate and do what we have to do." Carlee's return home was widely celebrated, with multiple people who had posted about her disappearance posting about the update. But as more time passed, the public began to feel as if something was deeply amiss with the situation. How was she kidnapped off the side of the interstate without anyone seeing her? How had she been the only one to see a toddler on the side of the road and report him? And why did the police chief emphasize that they don't have to move quickly? Certainly, if someone was out abducting young women from the side of the road, and holding them hostage for a number of days, the police would make that case a priority, and wouldn't a person using a child as bait to kidnap adult women be taken a bit more seriously? Why wasn't the FBI involved, or any other agencies? People began to suspect that the reason this case wasn't making any sense was because Carlee hadn't actually been abducted. Multiple people began saying that they were close to the Russells, or had some connection to the case, and that Carlee had a habit of doing things like this for attention. Multiple people posted screenshots of messages seemingly sent from Carlee's Instagram while she was reported missing, showing that she was fine, while others claimed that she had decided to fake a kidnapping to get revenge on her ex-boyfriend for cheating on her. Most of these theories were unsubstantiated rumors, and the majority would be shown to be false. Still, with no information coming out from the family and the police, the public was left to speculate on what happened. But that speculation wasn't left unchallenged. Multiple people who had commented in support of Carlee and used their platforms to raise awareness about the case found people's questions to be incredibly disrespectful. Various content creators spoke out against those who demanded to know every detail about the case, and were stating that Carlee's return made no sense, claiming that they were victimizing the young woman after an already traumatic event. They urged people to give her grace and kindness in the coming days. However, the very next day, July 17th, the Hoover police would once again make another public statement and led to more public speculation. Lieutenant Keith Chicleba of the Hoover Police Department would talk to multiple outlets and go over how the detectives involved with the case had spent the past day confirming aspects of Carlee's story, and found that there was no evidence of her being followed after she left her job at the Woodhouse Spa. They then were able to obtain traffic camera footage that showed Carlee's car on her way home from work, before she had called the police about the child, and there were many troubling aspects of the footage. In the footage, Carlee's car was seen slowly going down the interstate for a significant period of time, with her hazards flashing, before ultimately pulling over to the side of the road. However, no toddler is seen in the footage. Secondly, Carlee's phone call with the police, as well as with her brother's girlfriend, put her with the child. But as she turned her hazards on the moment she saw the toddler on the side of the road, then that child would have had to be running near her car for a few hundred feet before she ultimately pulled over. The footage led to more and more people believing that Carlee had not been kidnapped, and to combat that narrative, the following morning, Carlee's parents would agree to an interview done by The Today Show.
That moment you all first laid eyes on her again, what was it like?
To me, just so much joy.
This morning, in an exclusive sit-down with NBC News, the parents of 25-year-old Carlee Russell are speaking out, describing the moment their daughter appeared on their doorstep after being missing for more than 48 hours.
What did you do when you saw her?
We tried to hug her as best we could, but I had to stand back because she was not in a good state. So we had to stand back and let medical professionals work with her. But it's okay.
Last Thursday, police say Carlee called 911 to report a toddler walking alone on the interstate. She pulled over while on the phone with a family member who described hearing Carlee scream.
Her vehicle's unlocked, running. All her personal belongings except for her phone.
On the scene, police found no sign of Carlee or a child, and they say no children were reported as missing during that time period. The Russells waited in agony until Saturday night.
There were actually just so many calls and texts from people who maliciously lied to us. I just didn't know people could be so evil.
To be clear, in all the reporting and police documents surrounding this case, the Russells told the police that they got a call from Carlee, who said she was at the Red Roof Inn. However, in this interview, they state that they got a text from someone pretending to be Carlee. This could either be the family changing the story after the fact, or a miscommunication between the police and them. Either way, it was believed to be a hoax.
Authorities have not indicated where Carlee was during the 48 hours she was missing, or what happened. Her parents declined to share what their daughter told them, citing the ongoing investigation.
And can you tell me what happened Saturday night? Did you just get a knock at the door?
Anything leading to the case itself, we can't discuss that.
But they say speculation about the circumstances surrounding Carlee's disappearance are only making things worse.
She's having to deal with the trauma of people just making completely false allegations about her.
Her family now urging the public to let the investigation play out, but mentioning an abductor. Her mother asking to read a brief message to the public.
Carlee has given detectives her statement so that they can continue to pursue her abductor.
Do you believe that there's an abductor still out there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
NBC News has reached out to the Hoover Police Department to ask whether they're looking for an individual involved. Police have just said they're following up on all information provided by Carlee.
And when I talked to you all on Saturday, you also said your daughter is a fighter and she would find a way back to you.
I felt that in my heart.
Is that what happened?
She did. She found her way back to us. However, we can't discuss the details of that.
But they say one thing is clear.
Do you believe she was fighting for her life?
Oh, she definitely fought for her life. There were moments when she physically had to fight for her life, and there were moments when she had to mentally fight for her life.
But she made it back to you.
She made it back.
Yeah, she did make it back. All right.
It was clear that her family and her boyfriend believed her story, but it seemed as if they were the only ones. Just a day after, the police would hold another press conference, and this one would be even worse for Carlee. At this press conference, the police chief stated, quote, "Due to the public interest, and in some cases public fear, that this story has created, we owe it to our citizens to tell them the facts that we have uncovered at this point." They went further to state that though they had further questions for Carlee, she had not made herself available to speak to them since her initial interview, where she recounted what happened to her.
Thank everyone for being here today. Besides me stands the team who played a significant role in this investigation. I want to thank our department, members of surrounding local law enforcement agencies, the FBI, Secret Service, United States Marshals, and ALEA for their assistance in this case. We said from the evening of July 13th, our focus would be the safe return of Carlee Russell. That occurred on Saturday, July 15th, approximately 49 hours after she called 911 and disappeared. From that point, our focus has been to determine Carlee's whereabouts during that time and what exactly took place. Let me say up front, this investigation is not over. We're still working this case, and we'll be working this case until we uncover every piece of evidence that helps us account for the 49 hours that Carlee Russell was missing. However, through the public interest, and in some cases, public fear that this story has generated, we owe it to our citizens to tell them the facts that we have uncovered. So I will give you the facts that we know today. On July 13th, at approximately 8:20 p.m., Carlee left work from a business at the Summit. Surveillance video from her place of employment shows Carlee concealed a dark-colored bathrobe, a roll of toilet paper, and other items belonging to the business prior to her departure. She ordered food from Tzatziki's at the Colonnade and traveled there. She then traveled to Target on 280, where she purchased some granola bars and Cheez-Its. From there, she remained in the parking lot at that shopping center until 9:21 p.m., when she drove to I-459. Carlee communicated on her cell phone with individuals known to her while on her path of travel, up to the point of calling 911 at 9:34 p.m. Carlee called a relative after speaking with the 911 operator. She went missing during that conversation sometime after 9:36 p.m. Traffic camera footage was obtained which depicted this portion of the incident, and that footage was analyzed as part of the investigation in conjunction with the 911 call and cell phone data to accurately determine the time frame. Carlee's 911 call remains the only report of a child on the interstate, despite numerous vehicles passing through the area at that time. No one has called to report that a child is missing, and the Hoover Police Department did not locate any evidence of a small child walking down the interstate. Data from Carlee's phone, including her Life 360 app, shows that she traveled approximately 600 yards in her vehicle while she was on the phone with 911, stating that she was following a child. 600 yards. That is 6 football fields straight. 600 yards. The Hoover 911 Center received a second call from Carlee's mother stating that a relative was on the phone with her when they heard Carlee scream, and then they had an open phone line. Hoover police officers arrived on the scene within 5 minutes of being dispatched, and several other officers arrived shortly. They located Carlee's wig and cell phone in the grass near the vehicle. Her purse was located in the front seat of her vehicle with her Apple Watch in the purse. The food she ordered for Tzatziki's was also in the car. The items she purchased from Target, as well as the items taken from her place of employment, were not in the vehicle, nor were they located anywhere around the scene. Hoover Police deployed all available assets from the point in the search for Carlee. Additional resources were called in to include our own drone unit, crime scene investigators. Numerous detectives responded to the scene. Throughout the day Friday, officers from surrounding local and federal agencies assisted Hoover Police in the search for Carlee Russell. Officers returned to the scene on 459 to conduct a thorough line search for evidence. K-9 teams from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department responded to check for any sign of Carlee, the child that she claimed to see, and anything else that could be considered evidence in this case. Those searches all turned up empty. Private citizens, including search parties organized by her family, friends, began looking everywhere that they could to find any trace. These searches took place throughout the day Friday and again on Saturday, yielding nothing. At 10:44 p.m. on July 15th, the Hoover 911 Center receives a call from Carlee's residence stating that she returned home on foot. In subsequent investigations, detectives obtained surveillance footage of Carlee walking down the sidewalk alone prior to arrival at her residence. She was conscious and speaking with paramedics when she was transported to UAB. Detectives were able to obtain a brief statement from her prior to being treated and released. During the statement, she told detectives that while traveling down the interstate, she saw a baby walking down the side of the road and called 911. She stated when she got out of her vehicle to check on the child, a man came out of the trees and mumbled that he was checking on the baby. She claimed that the man then picked her up and she screamed. She stated he then made her go over a fence. She claims he then forced her into a car, and the next thing she remembers is being in the trailer of an 18-wheeler. She stated that the male was with a female. However, she never saw the female, only hearing her voice. She also told detectives she could hear a baby crying. Detectives, the male had orange hair with a big bald spot on the back. She said she was able to escape the 18-wheeler and fled on foot, only to be captured again and was put in a car. She claimed she was then blindfolded, but was not tied up because the captor said they did not want to leave impressions on her wrists. She said that they took her into a house and made her get undressed. She believes they took pictures of her, but she does not remember them having any physical or sexual contact. She stated the next day she woke up and was fed cheese crackers by the female.
Pausing here for a brief moment, Carlee had purchased Cheez-Its and granola bars from Target on her way home from work, and these cheese crackers were not found on her person or in her car, meaning that wherever she went, she likely brought them with her. So it's strange that her abductors would also just so happen to feed her the snack that she bought for herself and had on her for seemingly no reason.
She said the woman also played with her hair, but could not remember anything else. At some point, she was put back in a vehicle she claims was able to escape while it was in the West Hoover area. She told detectives she ran through lots of woods, until she came out near her residence. During this interview, detectives noted that Carlee had a small injury to her lip, and she claimed that her head was hurting. She also had a tear in her shirt. Detectives also noted that she had $107 cash in her right sock. Out of respect for Carlee and her family, detectives did not press for additional information in this interview and made plans to speak with her in detail after giving her time to rest. Detectives continue analyzing data from Carlee's cell phone that was left behind at the scene. We enlisted the help of the United States Secret Service in conducting this analysis. Part of what data included several internet searches in the days leading up to their disappearance that I think are very relevant to this case. On July 11th at 7:30 a.m., the term, "You have to pay for an Amber Alert," was searched. On July 13th at 1:03 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term, "How to take money from a register without being caught," was searched. On July 13th at 2:13 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term Birmingham bus station was searched. On July 13th, 2:35 a.m., a search for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville was conducted with a departure date of July 13th. On July 13th at 12:10 p.m., a search for the movie Taken, a film about abduction, was conducted. There were 2 searches related to Amber Alerts on a computer at Carlee's place of employment, including one regarding the maximum age of an Amber Alert. There were other searches on Carlee's phone that appeared to shed some light on her mindset, but out of respect for her privacy, we will not be releasing the content of those searches at this time. We've asked to interview Carlee a second time, but have not been granted that request. As you can see, there are many questions left to be answered, but only Carlee can provide those answers. What we can say is that we've been unable to verify most of Carlee's initial statement made to investigators, and we have no reason to believe that there is a threat to the public safety related to this particular case. Thank you very much.
After the press conference, it was clear what the evidence in this case was pointing to, and that the reason why Carlee's story didn't make sense was because it was entirely untrue. The reason why no one else spotted a child on the side of the interstate was because one had never been there, and the reason why the police stated they could take their time looking into the case was because there hadn't been a case in the first place. It seemed that Carlee had wanted to disappear for a short while, whether that be to avoid conflict at work, ease tension at home, or get back at her ex-boyfriend, who had allegedly cheated on her. Just 10 days after Carlee was initially reported missing, the police would hold another press conference.
Good afternoon. Thanks to everyone for attending again today. I want to thank the members of our department and all of law enforcement who played a role in the investigation of this case. Last Wednesday, July 19th, we held a press conference and provided you with the facts of the Carlee Russell disappearance. We told you the investigation was ongoing, and we hoped to determine where Carlee was during the 49 hours of her disappearance. Today I've talked to and received a statement from Mr. Emery Anthony, attorney for Carlee Russell. Mr. Anthony has scheduled a meeting for Carlee to meet with investigators early this afternoon, but then I received an email stating that a statement was being provided by him on her behalf. Mr. Anthony asked that I read the statement in its entirety, which I will do now. My client has given me permission to make the following statement on her behalf. There was no kidnapping on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. My client did not see a baby on the side of the road. My client did not leave the Hoover area when she was identified as a missing person. My client did not have any help in this incident, but this was a single act done by herself. My client was not with anyone or any hotel with anyone during the time she was missing. My client apologizes for her actions to this community, the volunteers who were searching for her, to the Hoover Police Department and other agencies as well, as to her friends and family. We ask for your prayers for Carlee as she addresses her issues and attempts to move forward, understanding that she made a mistake in this matter. Carlee, again, ask for your forgiveness and prayers.
4 days later, Yesterday, at the time of writing this script, Carlee was charged with false reporting to law enforcement authorities and falsely reporting an incident, 2 misdemeanors. Carlee was booked into the Hoover City Jail and freed on a $2,000 bond that same afternoon. As of time of writing, that is all that is known about the case. The public support of Carlee following her disappearance was something that not a lot of people see. Carlee's story was able to capture the public's attention in a way that others haven't, and it's because of that attention that we now have some idea as to what occurred. As always, thank you for watching this video. If there is a video you would like to see made on this channel, or a case you would like to see covered, email us at dreading.official@gmail.com. Have a great day, and remember to stay safe.